Mustang fans? Today we are at Orlando World Speedway with a well-renowned Mustang tuner, Mike Wilson. He's been in the business for 20 years, good friend of mine, an expert at tuning Mustangs. I met him about 20 years ago at a shop in Dallas that specialized in Mustangs, and he's been tuning ever since. We're super happy to have him on the Holley PowerTech team as a calibrator. Mike, this is your 2020 Mustang,
well,
right?
My wife's car, but yeah.
Well, where's she?
She's home.
Okay, so typical my wife's Mustang that I drive. Okay, got it, check. You have really been working hard on the calibration for this car.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I've watched you doing it and slave over it. Tell us a little bit, we're here at the track, tell us about what your expectation is and kind of what you've seen so far today and what your hope for outcome looks like.
We're obviously trying to decrease the ET, increase the mile per hour. We make good power in the dyno, about 20, 25 horsepower and 30 to 35 foot-pounds of torque. We're still working on it, revising it. I'd like to knock the ET down by a half second, pick up 3 or 4 miles an hour at least.
Yeah.
It's on 93 octane, so no alternative fuels or anything, just stuff to get right out of the pump.
And no bolt-ons, right? This is just bone stock we're talking,
stock,
right?
Just
Yep.
Calibration with the T2.
Yep, T2. So that's the Diablo Trinity 2 product that you're using. Interesting. So tell me a little bit about that. A lot of users out in the world use gauge monitoring products on their Mustang to see how it's doing at the track. The Trinity allows users to record thousands of different parameters from their factory ECU. What are some of the critical ones you're looking at in terms of PID name? And then maybe give the world out there a little bit of background on what those mean, since sometimes they can be a little cryptic, these acronyms. Let's talk a little bit about what are you using it for today?
Okay. Well, we're watching engine RPM, vehicle speed.
Yep.
Our commanded lambda, which is the target air-fuel ratio that we're looking for.
Right.
Our measured air-fuel ratio from both banks.
Okay.
We've got our short-term fuel trims and our long-term fuel trims.
Right.
Short-term is an instantaneous correction to get it back to your target, and the long-term is something that's learned over time. Then we're looking at spark, total spark advance, intake air temperature, IAT, ECT, which is engine coolant temperature.
Yep.
We're looking at also knock retard.
Okay.
So like a negative value on the knock retard on these cars is going to be at advance. So it's a negative knock, it's adding timing.
Okay.
A positive value, it's pulling timing.
And the same with fuel trims, right? It's the opposite, right? The fuel trims is, if it's a positive, it's adding fuel. Right. If it's a negative, it's removing fuel. But if it's a negative, it's removing fuel because it's rich.
Correct.
And if it's a positive, it's adding fuel because it's lean, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the fuel trims. What is your goal to zero those out? Is that what your goal here is?
Yeah, to get them as close to zero as possible.
Okay.
There's even on the factory calibration, you'll see anywhere from 5 to 7, even up to 10%. Long-term fuel trims at times. And
what does that mean? If you just help me understand as someone who's not really super knowledgeable about that, what does it mean when your fuel trim's -10? What does that mean for the actual performance of the car? What's happening?
Nothing at all. That's what the trims are there for. They're corrected.
Sure.
So you have a target, and it pulls it out to get it back to that target.
But do you lose power that way? No. Never? Even if it's knocking and knock
really
retard?
Rich. Yeah,
okay.
It's extremely rich.
Okay.
And if you have a knock retard event where you get a positive number, which means negative timing, then yeah, you're going to have some power loss that way.
Okay. So tell us about, so you did that stuff in the cal. You saw some performance gains that users are going to see. Tell us about drivability. That's, in my experience in the tuning business, drivability is the key function for most of us, right? Because this is a stock car and it doesn't have a power adder and a bunch of bolt-ons, the real advantage of the tune isn't necessarily the horsepower. While the ET is going to be better, it's really how it drives everything. Tell us about how that feels for the daily driver now.
Well, we worked on pedal map. So there's different modes. You can adjust the pedal maps on every single mode.
Right.
So
which modes?
So you've got normal. You've got sport.
Okay.
Sport plus.
Okay.
Track and drag.
Yeah.
There's also snow and ice, but we don't ever touch those.
Okay.
But even on the drag mode, you can adjust up and down however much percent to 0% to 100% on the pedal to make it either super, super aggressive or a little mild on like a daily driver.
Okay. Yeah, and we were talking earlier and I was telling you how I had driven the 18 Mustang for quite a bit to get an understanding of how it felt. And one of the things that I noticed about it was that it often felt like the 18 was the first year of the 10-speed, and it felt like it was trying to figure out, where do I go? Am I supposed to be aggressive right now or not? And I could see how at the track that would be really awesome and that it was, fire all the time. But when I was in traffic and kind of doing the, feathering the pedal and tipping, it felt really weird and it hunted a lot. Did you clean that up? What did you do for that?
Yeah, so you have, the unique thing about the 10 speeds, it actually skips some of the gears in your normal mode.
Huh.
So it'll skip from 1 to 3 to 5, 6, 8, and 10.
Okay.
It skips at different RPMs, different positions. But you can go in and adjust all that to make it shift like, 1, 2, 2, 3, all the way up to 10. So we cleaned some of that up quite a bit, made the pedal more aggressive so it's not so spongy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have variable cam timing and your spark, everything else to try to make more power.
Right. Yeah. And so you've cleaned that up, but as a user, if I have a T2 for my Mustang or an i3 or a Predator or any of those devices, what other options that are user kind of creature comfort things, you know, do you think users have in there that they would be really fun to play a speed limiter or traction control? Yeah.
Not on the Mustang, but on like some of the trucks, you'll be able to turn off the auto start.
Okay. I hate that. I hate it. Oh, it's the worst.
Speed limiters and rev limiters and idle speed.
Okay, great. So we're super excited. We have the Trinity 2 tuner about to come out for this very soon. Right now we support 96 to 2019 Mustangs,
Correct.
5 liters, 3.7 liters, 2.3 EcoBoost. We have the whole lineup. If you're out there, consumers, and you're looking for something easy to do for your Mustang that's affordable, that'll add a great performance benefit without a whole lot of getting your hands dirty and just doing the job, the DiabloSport Trinity T2 is the best option for you. And that'll be out for these 2020s here probably in the next 30 days, depending on when you're looking at this video. Anything else you want to tell the Mustang fans out there, Mike, before we break with them?
Go out there, spin the tires, and have some fun.
That's right. And you heard it from him, guys. Have fun out there, Mustang enthusiasts, and we'll see you soon.